And for those of you who don't know, my name is Ruth Miller, and I get to be the pastor here, and it's been a treat to be part of this community and to be with Jay and his various roles and stages and abilities and all those wonderful things. And I'm going to light a candle here that is symbolic of Jay's spirit in this lifetime, in this larger community, and in food. And as we go along, I'm going to invite various people to come forth and share something about their experience with Jay that they would like to continue, like to have us experience and know about, and to take a tea light and light it on the big candle and put it on the tray. So, as I say, my name is Ruth Miller, and Jay was introduced to me as this old guy who sat on the board. And he attended every board meeting, whether he was elected that year or not. And sometimes he had something to say, and sometimes he didn't. And that was very interesting, because when he had something to say, it was almost always very pithy, very, very relevant, almost never totally off the wall, but sometimes it was like coming out of left field. Nobody here's had that experience with Jay, I'm sure. Because he was thinking clearly all the time. And then one day, I had the opportunity to come out here, and I was speaking out in front of the pulpit, and I was feeling really good, and I was out here and doing my thing, and he came up to me afterwards and says, "Can we have lunch?" He said, "I think you're pretty comfortable in your body." Well, that's as far as our personal relationship went. But it was a delight to get to know him and to feel his presence and to feel all the ways in which he was quietly but definitely guiding this fellowship. And he was definitely, at the time I came on board here, Walt Staten was the president, and Jay was his mentor. There was no question about that. He turned to him often and received a lot of support for that. So I'm going to miss them both, and I know the fellowship is going to be served well by their presence in and through and around us, if not necessarily among us. So in the last year or so of Jay's presence on the planet, it became clear that he wasn't entirely able to function on his own, and the Pastoral Care Committee was wondering what to do about all of that. And one person stepped forward and said, "I'll do what I can." And within 2 weeks, he was moved in an entirely different situation. He had a regular meal situation, and he had regular visitors. And that person is Nin. So I'm going to invite Nin to share some of her insights with us now.
Thank you.
And you get to light a candle if you like.
Well, Jay was a remarkable tower of strength. No matter how old he got, that core strength was always there. And he had great convictions, especially politically, and stood up for his beliefs. When he was 14, he went into the Army. He said that they didn't look too closely, so they didn't realize how very young he was. And so he served in the armed forces. And in the brochure, the young picture is of him in the Army at 14. He's only 14. And then later on, he became a psychiatric social worker, and he worked in the hospital, in the prisons. And what strength that takes to be able to work with them. And he did that for many years, and he said he really enjoyed that work. And he got married several times, 4 times, and so he was father to various children. But he became estranged from his own children, and so he kind of adopted me as his daughter. And it's okay, because I don't have any parents, and I wasn't crazy about being an orphan either. So he started introducing me to people as his daughter. And that was sweet. And so I started playing it, you know, and I treat him like my daddy, and we'd hug, and, you know, I worried about him. And it was really great because he had that need for a daughter. He really had that need, and I was so blessed to be able to fill that for him. And so, in my own personal life, when my son died, I never got to say goodbye. And when my husband died, I never got to say goodbye. And Jay filled that hole in me because he said goodbye. And he told me how much I meant to him and how much he loved me and how I had filled that last year, couple of years with such joy. So it really meant a great deal to me. And the political thing, you know, when Jay believed something, he believed something. I mean, like, absolutely. And he really believed in Bernie Sanders and in the politics. And he would stand out on that corner of 9th and 101, no matter what the weather was, you know. And even if he was the only one, he would be there. Because that was like so crucial in his life, even when he couldn't do a lot of other things. He did that with the little walker and everything. He did that. And then he founded FOOF. He put an ad out asking if there's anybody who wants to talk about these principles. And out of that little ad, a little group formed, and out of that little group, this whole congregation formed. And in February, we voted to buy land and build a sanctuary. And that was really crucial because Jay had talked about dying several times, but I had to talk him out of it. But once the land was bought and this trajectory of building was set in motion, there was a completion in him. His baby had solid legs. And now when he talked about dying, it was more like, I'm finished. You know? And so he died content. We all die, but that is how you die. He died in his bed. He died surrounded by people who loved him. And his project, his main love, was solid. So Jay, he traveled, he loved, he had wives, he had children, he had all of it. He had a rich, full life. And when he was complete, he chose that he was ready. It didn't come at him. He chose. He said, all right, I'm ready, you can come to me now. And he left.
So we do not have much of a structured service today, but what I would like to do, for those of you who can't hear me, I'm going to turn on the mic.
Could you use the microphone?
I am doing that.
Thank you.
For those of you who are having difficulties. So what I'd like to do is invite people to come forward and share, you know, a story and light a candle. And then we will enter into something approximating prayer. He wasn't much of a praying man. And then Rosemary has a poem that she's going to share with us to help us come to completion around this. So, ways to celebrate the presence of Jay Goodwin in our lives. Who would like to start?